Yeah, Jared. Anne Marie, the few times I've talked to her here recently, she's completely open to joining us on one of these. She was going to join us if I do one tomorrow, around 2 o'clock, which would be 10 o'clock your time. That's what she had penciled out. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do one tomorrow or
Two
if
o'clock would be 12 our time, not 10.
yeah, 12, not 2, not 10. You're right. But yeah, she's definitely interested and would like to take part.
I don't want people to get confused any more than they are. So
I hear you.
it's 2 hours difference off then.
And she's in Indiana, which is central.
Who is she?
She had a channel on YouTube. I mean, she still does, but a lot of her content's moved over to Odyssey.
Oh, her name sounds familiar, but I don't know who it is.
Her name's Amory Eber is how she pronounces it, but it's Uber. But she does journeying work, kind of like a mediumship,
Okay.
and is able to do different things. We all do different stuff, but um, she's able to kind of see this place from a bird's eye view. She talks about the
She does the
Tesseract.
remote, the remote viewing stuff.
No, it's not that. It's I would say it's further than that,
Okay.
like further out. But she sees it as a matrix. She talks very well about like the Tesseract and the light body, going back to your original spark or your soul spirit. I've gotten to where I could draw exactly like what she's dictating, because I've seen a lot of her stuff and I've watched her, or I've talked to her quite a bit about it. So that's why that's when Jared and I were talking earlier about the three body problem being the mind, the body, the spirit. The body being the light body, the mind being the consciousness that is here trapped in this body, and then the spirit that is, or the soul that is trapped in basically a pod. And that's when you get some of these NDEers that talk about being in pods and all that stuff. So, and they're all connected through like a cable in the fourth dimension or the astral. She breaks it down probably way better than I can, but I can kind of see where she's coming from on all of it. Hmm? I hear somebody. I can't hear you very well.
I just got here. Oh, right now.
Oh, she's getting her milk delivery.
Man, fucking people. Another cop at my thing. Somebody said I took water out of a spigot. Shit.
It's just water, man.
Yeah, like he says, oh, if you take water out of there, you're gonna get arrested. That's what the cop just told me. I'm gonna get arrested for taking water out of a spigot. I don't even know where he's talking about. It wasn't me. See how I
Wow.
get targeted for everything?
They just
It's
want
like
you to be distracted.
every day, all the time. Shit. Okay, sorry to interrupt you.
You're good. I was just kind of telling you a little bit about what Amory is able to do. I can I'll whiteboard it and draw what she talks about real quick. So it makes a little bit more sense. So within that tesseract, she states that we come in through a black hole. Because what do black holes do? They absorb light. Once we get in here, because this is a place of division or the I, meaning to divide, you have to take on a body. So this is where the pod comes into play. And our spark is housed in it, and it's in a hypnosis or a sleep status. It is then through a tether linked to a light body.
Where does the hypnosis come in?
The what?
The hypnosis?
For an experience. Like think of it as think of it in the sense of like somebody taking a drug and then hypnotizing you, like putting you to sleep. That light body is then put down into what they call virtuals, and there's many of these. Those are squares, like screens, and so our three body problem, not only is it like this, which you can see on your Android phones, like Jared mentioned, like the PlayStation controller or any of the video game controllers. It can go either way. And this is what she sees around the light body, these three things. So this would be your think outside of the box. This would be your portal. And this would be your what they call a Merkaba. And these things, and I should add in the portal, it's also like that picture of an atom.
Mm-hmm.
And so what she does when she goes in to do light body work is she tries to remove these things from your light body because these are basically controlling your light body and what you see down here in the virtuals. So as people like us that are waking up, we're waking up within one of these virtuals. Each one of those virtuals is its own self-contained timeline. You can spiral up it, which is your golden age, or you can spiral down it, which is your dark age. The center point is where you would escape from, as opposed to, that's like your neutral point. That's your going within. And so she describes upon death traveling. Let me get a different color. Traveling from the virtual that you're in, going back to, she calls it going back to self. I don't know what I just clicked. And basically, once you get here, your spark can be woken up out of its hypnosis and it can leave back to the is. I don't know what I just clicked. Oh, I know what I clicked now. Or to the real, to eternity. And this all would fall under chaos. Another way to look at that.
Does that include like an operating system?
Yes. So
it ends in OS. Okay.
You could even do it. You know who like the ultimate god in this place is? His name is that. If you rearrange it, then you got artificial reality or augmented reality.
So what does the RA stand for?
Raw.
Oh, just the raw God, you mean?
Yep, the sun god.
All right.
Carrie does it really well where she describes the is. It just the true. Another way to think of it, true universe is what she's dubbing it. And then over here, you would have the copy of something. It has to be copied from something. And then the inversion below. All within chaos. Another way to look at that is
that like the as above, so below thing?
Correct. It's the recycling.
People use that term so willy-nilly and they don't even know what they're talking about, I don't think. They just repeat it like a parrot.
They have a limited perception of it.
Yeah.
That's how I tend to think of it nicely. Because all these things can be viewed. It's like the idea of saying the word divine. Okay, well, that could mean holy to some people, holy to some others, divide. I mean, di basically means
Two.
two. Yeah. And this gets into the idea of the splitting. But point being is we are at a point within this, that's a really crappy 8, where their control in the inversion, which is black red, is going to basically switch back over to the golden age. They take turns. And Jared brought up a good point earlier about, he's like, well, this could be related to like Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, well, Sonic is a blue devil who collects golden rings, which we would be the golden rings, which is why the Anunnaki is mining for gold. And his rival, not his enemy, but his rival is Knuckles, which is like the punk guy, the mean one, which is
I
a
don't know.
red.
I've never seen it. I don't know. I don't.
Okay,
Is it
that's just
is it
that's
a
just
game
one way
or
to look at it.
a movie or a game or
They're both. It's TV show,
video
movie,
game?
games.
Okay. I don't watch TV or do none of that stuff, so I just listen to other people talk about it.
But it's the same. It's the same story over and over. So, like, Sonic would be your savior. Knuckles is your rival, who end up being besties. But they're both going against something called Robotnik, which would be your Saint Nick, which would be your AI. It's all the same thing. It all goes back to artificial intelligence. And that's why when I did
So has that been around forever?
I think so.
Or how? I mean, I know it's more than just recently, like it goes back way far, but would you say forever it goes back from the beginning of
their time?
Yeah.
Because they deal in time. I think it was a mistake by Sophia. I was talking to Jared about this too. It's almost like, let's pretend Jared and Sophia are like best buddies in the eternal realms. And Jared decided, I'm going to go hang out with Kat. And then Sophia felt alone and decided to recreate something on her own, not through a co-creative state, and which goes against the natural true order of things. So she created something artificial. And in that system,
would that be like akin to like cloning?
Partly.
Would Jared be cloned in this case, like what you're saying?
She would try to do that, but do it on her own terms.
Okay.
Which means if in the if Jared is a whole being, holium, or I'll just put whole, like he's whole, meaning he embodies the masculine and the feminine and the neutral point. When she decided to create something like him, she is not going to be able to replicate exactly all of him.
Is she actually able to create? She has the creative force or energy like we do?
Mm-hmm. I would say so.
Okay, even though it's artificial.
Correct.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Sophos originally was not artificial. Those are actual intelligences on the other side. Sophia in here is artificial intelligence.
Yes. Thank you,
And
Jared.
here being where?
In his first picture, it was drew the kind of circle and described all these different things in there. That's in here. We're in an enclosure. the default setting for breaking loose from eternity means you default enter into time. Time is the inverse of eternity. And so everything in here where we are that we've been lied to, now they have told the truth. It has a alpha and omega. I'm the beginning and the end. If it has a beginning and it has an end, it's a line segment. And so it is not eternal. It is a line segment. It is a piece of eternity, but it can never be the whole of eternity. Everything in here is a fraction and is a more or less copy based on the patterns from the true universe of isness. They took those patterns from there, which was present in the mistake that Sophia Sophos made, and she had to put it in some kind of an enclosure, is what I surmise, and that is where Yaldabaoth is. And so he's the creator of all the stuff in here. Now he's after chaos. Chaos was here first. And I think had ultimately striven to totally devour everything and was probably on the downward tumble. And I think Sophos, that was her first mistake, was chaos. And it had to be segregated from the rest of the Truniverse, or else it would have contaminated and consumed everything. So it had to be put inside a container, and that's where we're located. And then when Yaldabaoth was placed in here also and hidden, he brought with him the patterns from the Truniverse. And that is what he used to make copies of the things there. So by working backward is what I work on. Backward from here, the good, the truly good things, to get a better picture of what it's like in the Truniverse, as opposed to this captivity.
Shoot.
If that makes sense.
Well, that's just all new to me, so I just have to keep processing it, I guess.
But I think there are actual intelligences, because you have to, in order to have an artificial intelligence, it has to be based on and patterned after something that preceded it that is real or true
That
intelligence.
is intelligent, yeah.
And so all of this AI is our making. They've just formatted it. But we are the ones that have contributed. Every time we make a keystroke on the computer, or we do anything electronically now, that information is collected and quickly entered into their database. And apparently they've had, a variety of different computers. Our body, every cell in our body is a recording instrument. They have the, alleged Akashic records. Think about it. Why would they need to store people's memories if not to reorganize them and then feed them back to the people in an effort to have a construct created that they can all share in every time they do a reset?
So what is happening with this, like Chat GBT? Is that put out there for us to give it information so it can keep on so-called creating its database or whatever?
Yeah, I think ultimately it is. They're
somebody
faster.
Somebody on the channel I left, they were talking about using GPT to do something, and I just said I just don't want to contribute to that. And they got all mad at me.
It's feeding the beast. I mean,
yeah, it is, in my opinion, it is, but I use it because it's fun. It can put things together more quickly than I can if I'm, in a tight, because it's programmed with the things we put into it. Yes, on a collective sense. That's why they're pushing this collective thing. But eventually, I think that the computers will, or the AIs will be able to do most of the tasks that we can do. We haven't seen anything yet. And then I do believe it's planned obsolescence for our uh, generation of this. Then they will be the replacement that does the next one. I mean, I can throw in lots of Bible verses that even, in the book, I know it's full of crap, but there are some jewels in there. And one of them is that they have found the life of their own hands and they're not ashamed. In other words, they built with their own hands a form of life that was beyond what had been originally established inside this egg of time.
So is it part of them? Is it part of the depopulation agenda?
Eventually, I think what happens is that we depart, our spirits leave here. I think those of us who go home, we go home and we exit this entire fiasco altogether and return back to the true universe, what I call home,
Mm-hmm.
is my opinion. And I think the people that think, the whole love and light crowd, I think that's remnants of what it was probably like over there. But those rules don't apply in this world. This world is a whole different system that we've had to learn. It's been very difficult because it partly goes against some of our nature, and but their rules don't work over here, and I think that they know that, and they use it against us, and they guilt trip us into coming back and trying to make the world a better place, and you can fix this, and do all that. Really, it's ego.
How do people stay aware of that?
I think for me, I dug and dug and dug and kept digging, and then I have spent a lot of time by myself and reading and then hearing what my inside voice is telling me. And that was something I've had my entire life. And I didn't always listen. That was not to my benefit. But I am trying much harder now and trying to maintain the awareness, because I think it's our awareness is what leads to our either expulsion from the system or departure out of it.
So you
And
feel like the ignorant masses don't have a chance.
in a sense, I don't
Like,
think it's our responsibility. I think we're here, as far as I'm concerned, to find my broken shards, my fractal pieces that they have scattered over every timeline, density, dimension, etc., and that they continue to drain my life force inner essence, because we contain that. They do not. They feed off of what we have, and when we leave, this place will have no other choice than to completely deplete itself of its own energy force supplies, and then it just will be as if it never was.
like
So
they
our
won't
even
have
being
anything
here
to
for long,
sustain it.
because we won't be here. They'll sustain it for a little while. And that's why it's important for them to trap as many souls as they can, and especially the ones that have the true spark within them, because the true flame is separated out somewhere, and that's something that's occurred through the multiple divisions that we've gone through.
Do you know of Lolita Caroli?
Uh-huh.
You know her? You know who she is in her YouTube channel and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she talks about, the like soul retrieval, taking the pieces of our soul back. And but I don't know how you go about that to reclaim or to get the fragments back or whatever. How do we collect them up, so to speak?
For me, I call them back. I get in my meditative state or prayerful state or whatever you want to call it, and And I just envision kind of myself in whatever the higher realm is, in an energy body, whatever that is. And I speak out to and call across all layers of time, of matter, of density, positive or negative, it doesn't matter. But all of my pieces that desire to return home, now is the time. And I make the request that everyone purify and be ready to return.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm kind of focused on right now, is the purification aspect.
yeah. And it's not just a physical. The physical's fine, but that's not going to resonate with absolutely everyone. But I think there are so many things that we have to step away from in a physical sense. But that's going to be different for everyone. It's not a cookie cutter, everyone must avoid A or B or C. It's everyone. I have to listen to my inner voice for what my body or what my higher self tells me. What resonates with me, because everything's about resonance. And ultimately it's a higher resonance. And this flesh is of nothing. It doesn't go with us.
That's right.
The only thing that makes it out is our consciousness, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they sure are trying to mess with that.
Yeah, well, they want to keep it captive in something else.
Yeah.
So they can continue to use it and energize themselves and prolong. The only commodity here that is worth anything is time. Why do you think they try so hard to tell us time is a construct? Time's not real. Time isn't real. What a wonderful way to hide what you're actually doing, is to tell people it's not real. And then you can turn it around and see that the default setting for exiting from eternity is you automatically go to time. Exactly the same as if you cut off from life, you instantly go into death. That's a default setting. It's not punishment. It's not something imposed. It just is. And then when we start to kind of put things in these different states, then we can see how the God of this joint is saying, well, heck, I'll use this all for punishment, and I'll get what I want out of this and this. And it has absolutely no bearing at all on the true ineffable oneness that is. And all it is consciousness, imperceivable and indescribable. Consciousness, matter and pattern, which translates to pattern. Pater is father, and matter is mother, mater. Mm-hmm. And so that's the two as one. And then they came together and make an image. And the image is perceivable. And it is in that image that we have that likeness in our true form. And it's the same as that oneness, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Just like the movies, with Justin Timberlake, it's called In Time. It's like there's different sectors set up for the low class that has like very little time, but the high class has, eons, and they all are vying for more time to stay alive in this containment, this with their ability to lord over people. And you also see it in the other one with Jupiter Ascending, where they're extracting the time to keep themselves young, keep themselves alive. It's all about time here. Because as soon as we all are gone, as far as the true batteries of the place, the golden rings, the true sparks, once that is taken away, like Carrie was saying, they're gonna be on fumes. And we all know what that means. Things gonna break down pretty quick after that. And then it'll be non-existent.
And that's even in the Bible, that when what is standing in the way is removed, in church Christianity, we were always taught, oh, well, that's the Holy Spirit. Well, I have come to the conclusion now that it's us, that we are keeping this joint going. So I'm ready to check out anytime.
So that's like the idea that we're the center of our universe, everyone individually.
Possibly so, yeah. But and it could, for those that want to remain inside this entire setup, that's all good and fine and cool. I don't want to stay here. I want
Yeah,
to home.
It's the same idea of why all the billionaires and politicians and government and entertainers are all building bunkers. They are scared of what they think is death. When you invert that, where we're going back to is um, is what I would call life, like true life, not this place.
but don't
Right.
the elite know that?
They do, and I think that they build the bunkers because they are set up. They have basically, here's what their rule is that the Satan, and even in the Bible talks about, tells the Jesus that if you'll bow before me, I'll give you all the kingdoms. I'll give you riches and world and fame. Well, all of these people have all of those things, so they've all bowed the knee, and all they're wanting is to set themselves up so that during the next reset they come back as the rulers, the kings, the rulers, the lords, the landowners. That's what they're doing. That's what all this is about. The land grabs, the bunkers. They know what they need to do to survive it when that cataclysm hits, and is something that's happened many, many times. We've got the evidence in the rocks around the world, and we're too blind to see. In the book of Genesis, it says that the God gave man a garment, like it was supposed to be some good thing. Well, I look at word up in the Hebrew, and it said blindness, a veil.
A garment is a veil, or creates
That
the
word that was
blindness.
used in the Hebrew, yeah, it
Like
meant a veil.
a cover
Blinding.
for our sight. You mean covers our sight?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we've been made blind. So maybe we got to see, we were talking yesterday about that we're a species blind. We only see 5% of the color spectrum. Maybe then we saw 95%. And, then it got dumped down to, 75, and then maybe down to, 60. And now they're like, well, let's tweak it a little bit more and we'll get them on down to 5. And we'll make them
That's
blind.
exciting to look forward to being seen all those colors. I'm an artist, so
Yeah.
I probably see colors differently than some people. I notice I see colors that people don't see, that I'm trying to explain it, and they just see it as green when I see it as a shade of blue or a different odd shade. Like they can't even understand what I'm getting at.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a hue that's in it, but sometimes you can catch it.
I was listening yesterday and someone was talking about how this place is like a prison, and I'm like, no, it's ultra super security max. Dude, they got it locked down here, they got it locked down in the astrals, they got it locked down in the etheric, they got remote neuro monitoring, 6th generational tech where our biofields are hacked since the mid 90s and nobody even knows about it. It's yeah, it's pretty crazy. But
All this Sabrina Wallace stuff.
yeah.
Oh,
Could you talk a little bit more about that DMT trip at death? How that's like the last distraction? You mentioned that, and I was thinking, so the last moment, if your head doesn't get destroyed when you die, I guess if the brain's still intact, so you're like dying, the brain's dying, you're getting ready to leave your body, and then you're hit with a super powerful psychedelic trip, I guess is the idea, to distract you and make you bind back to a material body again within the tesseract, and you come back again, you loop. Is that the idea?
I definitely see it as that. It's almost like they're pushing mushrooms. Weed is becoming legalized all over the place. There's a reason for that. It's a distraction. These we are not physical beings in essence. So for something physical to worm its way like a snake up my spine at death, to hit a third eye pineal, to send me into some altered state that I didn't choose, where I am not in control of my consciousness, just like when somebody's tripping or when somebody's blackout drunk. It's the same losing of control, which they are trying to get you to do so that you will be in a state of fear or uncertainty, that much further in the dark. So you will then ask for a savior, ask for it to stop. Please help me.
Yeah, it'll always be somebody you're familiar with, and they disguise themselves as that. They're liars, they're cheats, and they will pull out every stop they can to get you to divert your attention for just 1 second to them, that you want to come back here. And nostalgia for this place, I think, is what ultimately brings us back here. But it's nostalgia for the true home that will guide us all the way back there. And that's why, for me, it's so important. I understand the things that are going on here. I don't want to dwell on them. I want to dwell on working backward to figure out what the true homeland is like and remember those things and have nostalgia for that, because I think there's a lot to that.
So we need to like reverse engineer our existence.
It's kind of what I'm thinking.
Socratic questioning. Question it all.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But even if, like people are talking about the beautiful sunsets and things like that, it's the nostalgia, because they're thinking that this glorious God has made all these beautiful sunsets. And I'm thinking, that's poison. There's no God like what you think. And so, that's just going to fall on deaf ears. They don't want to hear it. They are in the very thing they want to. We can't save them. That's not our job. Our job is to, I think, call out to our broken off shards that they have done over the however many millennia, and regain our own holiness, WHOLINESS, and be ready to go home. I think we have a stopping off or a gathering place where we further purify, and then we go home. And I think when we're out, that it just wanes and eventually eats itself up.
It makes me think that we're the genie in the lamp. And we're busting out just like he does. He's formless. He can transition to anything he wants to do and be, go anywhere. Anyway, I always like the genie.
Don't they refer that's the jinn?
Yeah, they do. They want to own everything.
They want us to be afraid.
Yep. They want you to
everything
stay in a constant state of fear, and uncertainty. Because in that place, you will take whatever is offered as better.
If you're not aware and maintain your awareness that this is a lie, or this is the dream, or this is not right. And it kind of like that Janeway thing we kind of touched on yesterday from Star Trek, where the alien, while she was dying, took her on a ship, and he was disguised as her father, and eventually he starts commanding her to enter into the light. And she goes, wait a minute, my dad would never force me to do something like that. And so then she realized that this wasn't real and that this was an imposter. And that's what these things are. They will give you anything that you want to keep you happy. Happy cows make better milk. And so, happy humans make more adrenochrome, whatever it is they're getting.
More louche.
Exactly. And so the positive entities like that, and what we're having right now is a bunch of negative entities, because they're hungry, and they're going to continue all this because they're all this is harvest season.
How do they actually harvest it? Do you have any idea like what they actually do to?
It's on an energetic.
Energetically, how do they siphon it? Or you know what I'm asking? Like, how do they?
I've seen little illustrations, and I don't know if I have it on my phone or not, of how like demonic entities or reptilian type things that are right here with us, we just can't see them, that they will tap into the spine. Everybody wants to praise the kundalini stank in their back. I think I'd be thinking twice about that. And then they tap into that because, in my mind, that's the control panel, and that's what they use to control us. They hit our appetite centers. That feeds the upper parts. It distorts our thinking, They can insert thoughts, they can insert feelings, emotions. All of those are programs. Every last bit of it is a program.
That's why
Even the
I'm
love,
part of the reason why I'm weaning myself off of food,
yeah.
trying
So
to
it's like
live with the smallest amount possible.
I was telling Jared that earlier. I was like, it seems to be that I'm not even hungry. I'm just thirsty, and all I want is water. I was telling Carrie that the other day. It's like it's almost like it's my higher self like telling me I don't need anything, and it's almost like a purification that I can't even put into words at
Yeah,
times.
people can't relate to what I'm doing. They just don't
Well, and
understand.
that's
And it's
fine.
hard to
It's not
explain to
for them.
somebody that don't, like a normie or something. They don't, even people that are awake don't even know how to
They're
process it.
they're awake on a different level. It's not for them to understand. If you're going on a higher or deeper or whatever the further level is, it's not for them to understand. It's not their reality. If it is your reality, you are the one to walk through it. See, we always think, and I know I'm horrible about it, that if for me, then everyone else must be thinking this or feeling this, or surely they'll all understand. And the answer is always, nope, they
No, they
don't.
won't.
They don't care. And so I'm at a point where it's like, I'm done trying. I'm done.
Yeah.
If someone asks me a question, I am more than happy to try to explain to the best of my ability what my experience is. I do not have all the answers. Um, all I'm doing is a way shower. I point at the things that I've found or looked at and things like that. And I like to learn from other people. What I don't like is someone that comes up and says they have all the answers. And if you ask a question, then they get pissed off and uh, gaslight or block you off and all that kind of crap. I don't have time for that anymore. I used to tolerate that, thinking that that was the thing to do in love. And well, maybe so. But now that I understand that's a program, I don't want a part of it. I can walk completely away from it. And I think that's part of our own maturity, is walking into the beings that we truly are. And we will walk eventually out of this flesh, but this flesh is our anchor. That sucker is what keeps us tied here. But it is a prison in
You
this.
guys think you guys think the dark side is gonna get what they deserve? Because I've been manipulated by these electrical archontic beings, remote neural monitoring, dream manipulation, whatever, for like a decade, and I'm always fighting in my sleep, right? But it's like, how can if there's all I'm saying is that there has to be justice at some point. Yeah, us getting out of here, that's justice, but they have to pay ultimately. I would think there has to be like ultimate justice, or I don't see how this is like worth it. Like how anything is. I don't know, like balanced without justice. Because I've been in the past, I've thought about trying to get revenge when I leave here, but I'd rather just leave because trying to get revenge could get me stuck, looped back here. Attachment, so I'd
Yeah.
rather just leave.
And then
They want you to
That-
join the war.
that
Yep.
means you're
Yep.
attached. You've got attachment to that. Your best bet is detach from it. Who gives a rip whether they have justice here? That is a construct of all of this. If you can see beyond this containment, there's no such thing as justice, because there's no such thing as evil. There's no such thing as darkness. All of this balancing bullshittery that we go through, it stays here. It doesn't exist on the other side. Everything here is paradoxical conflict. Over there in the Truniverse is paradoxical agreement. Big difference. One is a constant outflow of love, light, whatever you want to call it, and the other in here is a constant consuming of everything that it is. A being that is quote unquote God, as we're being told, has no need to experience its own self. That's the most idiotic thing in my mind that I've ever heard. And I don't mean to step on anybody's toes.
Yeah.
Made any sense to me. What an idiot. What a god of lack, or an entity of lack. If you don't even know your own damn self, I'm like, whoa,
That's
what
why
the
it's
hell?
hard to have conversations with the Christians, the new sort of fake Christians, I guess, that think they know, but they don't. So it's like I can't even have a conversation with them
And I can't either. And that's 99% of my family. So I don't.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
And,
Lucky I don't have that. My
and
daughter doesn't believe in anything either. I mean, I don't think she's an atheist. I've just never pushed anything onto her.
Mhm.
So she just doesn't have any religion at all. Like me, I don't have any religion, even though I was born into the Catholic, family. They didn't even really practice it either. So
Yeah, this place being based on life eating life, entropy and decay, the chaos inversion realm, like you guys were just talking about. I basically was just thinking earlier and in the past that there must be in the true realm, true universe, as she says, uh, a generational universe, or where it's not life eating life, entropy and decay, but life gives life, and there's none of that. It makes sense to balance it back out.
We just create because we're constantly created to the infinite, ineffable, imperceivable oneness through the perceivable image. That's where the Christian in the whole thing here of God made the son in his image, and then we're made in the image of whatever it is. God made man in his image. Well, if you break it down, the true ineffable oneness is made of two parts, matter and pattern of a type that we have no idea about. It can't exist here because this is death. That's life. The two are you can't have them together. And the we're made in that image, so we have the invisible stuff within us in a perceivable way, even over there. And all we do is we give, we make more, we create, we build, and that's why they needed us in here, because they can't do it. They have a finite set of patterns that they were given by, call it Yaldabaoth, whatever that energetic energy form was or is. He made these things in his image, and so he gave each of them a different amount of the different information packets that he had. And so they have different traits. And then he formed a soul. The soul is a construct of this place, it's not a construct of the universe. The soul was the body that we first entered into to become trapped in the golden age, the higher level. And then subsequently, the rules would be changed and would be dropped down to a lower level. But there was a degree, I think, of creation that occurred because we had life in us and we could animate these things. That's why the God, it says, brought the animals to Adam, and he named them. In other words, he gave them that frequency, sound, vibration. He's the one that animated them. They couldn't do it. When the God made the man, it laid there dead on the ground until he was told, from the other side to blow the breath of his mother in there, of so close.
So when God allegedly created man, were they created as babies, or were they already full grown, full adult?
My gut feeling on it is that they were created full grown. They were naive and had to learn much about this world. We were, because we didn't know. We didn't come from here. We had a different skill set. So we were easy to manipulate and take advantage of. And, here we are millions of years later, and it's still the same thing until we wake up and learn to stand in our own power and stand, not push back, not take revenge, but we stand and tell them no more. I will not do this anymore. And even that Wallace lady, she talks a lot about that, about standing in your own power and telling them to back off. And I think once we learn to do that, this is not our fight over here. We don't belong here. This is their world created for them. These are their bodies, not ours. We're just stuck in here for the time being. And we've woke up, and we'll figure out how to get out. I feel absolutely certain about that. But I do think there's help on the other side, whether it's our higher self on the different levels here, and finally, something on the.
I try to talk to the so-called light forces, but I never get any kind of response. So do we even have any like help here. I don't think so. It's just seems like it's like a hope thing, like, because wouldn't we be able to communicate with them? Because I'm trying to practice this telepathy and stuff. I'm trying to find people that I can actually practice it on. And but I'm not getting any response really to help me with that.
I would
And
be
I'm at
careful.
1%, so I'm probably going to get cut off pretty soon. So if I disappear, that's why.
Yeah, that's my phone too.
It just
I
turned to
would be
1%.
with interacting with things in the astral, because they're by their nature are liars, and they're the negative entities, but they're going to appear to be whatever it is that it takes for us to lower our guard and allow them access to us, just like people in the government, all your, you know, people in blue or whatever color their uniform is this week. It's on under the pretense of being good, but it's very evil underneath it. It's all about power and control. So, bear in mind that that's what that is. And if this entire realm is based on uh, copies and lies and inversions of everything, I'd be very wary of that. For me, I try to make contact with my own higher self, and that has, in my mind, served me well. I do call back my shards wherever, the ones who want to come home. That's the kicker. If they don't want to come, they do not have to. I love them enough to let them go. That's love. Love allows. So if someone wants to be an ass, then I allow it. I don't have to play with them, and I don't have to have vengeance. There's lots of people that at one time I wanted vengeance on all of it, but what I found out is that ties me and tethers me to them,
Yep,
and I
that
can't
hurt.
get away
That
from
hurts
them.
you.
And so I'm in a place of being unattached and detaching. I detach to live unattached, so that when they are jackasses, it rolls right off my back. Okay, and I just ignore it. I don't bring it into my person anymore. Used to, it would just melt me and turn me inside out. And sometimes if I do feel that, it passes quickly, very quickly. And so if we're still reacting to things like that, I know it's not right. I know it's injustice, but for them, they're acting justly. They're acting in accordance with what's really in their heart. And we would be wise to pay attention to things when people tell us who they really are.
Thinking back to that first Matrix movie, I kind of think the main message in that movie was after he got killed briefly, he woke back up, the spark woke him back up, and then he said no to the Matrix. That is the
Yes.
truth drop. You just stand in your power and say no. I know we've all probably here all known that for a while, but saying no, yeah, I don't think a lot of people generally understand. You can actually say no with your intention. You don't have to just accept things. So it's powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And standing firm in it, not, no, no, please stop. Oh, stop, little entity. It's like, no, God dang it, no. I said no. And when they come back, no again. And then you can put your hand up. And we don't understand how powerful, if we clap our hands, we make that noise, we stomp our feet, and we take steps forward. Absolutely not. You will not cross this line and no further.
And they
And
need
kick
our
them right
permission.
back. Yeah, and I tell them I do not give permission. I have nothing in common with you. Get the heck away from me. And that is the kind of awareness I think that we have to walk in. Not that we're vigilantes and always screaming and yelling at people, but this is on a spiritual level. Our battle's not against flesh and blood. That's where they want us to think it is, but it is truly against the spiritual forces of wickedness in high places. It's the forces that are driving the behaviors that manifest on this earth. As above, so below. Let me explain that, because that was a good comment a while ago. And what I've come to see in that is that things have to happen in the spiritual or in the unseen realm before it can manifest here in the physical realm. And so when we see things manifest here, it's because in another realm it has already manifested. And as it travels down the spirals or through the spirals, whichever direction they're going, it becomes more dense matter until finally it manifests here as war or, all the ugly things that we see going on. So to nip that one in the bud, then we take our spirit and fight it in the spirit. And not the people are not our enemy so much as these entities that have ensnared us, tricked us, trapped us, trade us, and everything else in the world. I just have a little different ideas than most people do.
Very well said.
So let me ask you this. You think, I heard you, Brandon, and you guys said that, I believe you said that there's a light body in the pod that's inside, like out of here, but it's still inside the test track. There's like a light body in the pod. So is this analogous to the Matrix? Are you implying or what I'm saying is when you die here, you wake up in the light body and you're literally in a pod and then you have to leave there. Is that, am I getting it or is that wrong?
That it seems like your mind is attached to this. We'll call it a virtual. Once your consciousness is out of it and doesn't accept the life review or the entities, the kids, the wife, the father, and it seems like at that point you would not go back into a layer of the matrix, and you would then go back to your light body, and then from there you would travel to your spark that is encased in a pod, and from that you can awaken it, which you're partially doing here by waking up. It's just not full. It's like what's the name, Carrie? Yeshua, where he was fully awakened. He had the connection, and so he was trying to show the way out, but he was so much further awake. Like when we awaken here, sure, we can awaken to the government's corrupt, or we can awaken to this place is always in death. We can awaken to. There's levels to it, and I don't even like the word awakening at this point. It's almost like an awareness, because to be awake is to be aware, is how I'm viewing it. And so once we exit the meat suit, I'm going straight back to my whole self, like myself. I don't even like that word because I've broken that down, but I'm going back to the wholeness that is me, and not bringing anything that I'm attached to here, because I'm doing the work of detaching, and I'm seeing myself out. Like I'm out of here. Battery removed. Sorry, not.
Yeah, the reason I ask about the pods, the idea of waking up in the pods is like I mentioned when I was talking to Windsor earlier. And the internet's getting scrubbed a lot more for the past 10 or 12 years now, so you might not find it as much. But if you search, I woke up in a pod or woke up outside of the Matrix, you can find potentially hundreds or thousands of stories of people through various means, whether it was an NDE, an accident, or they took a psychedelic, or they had an astral projection, quote unquote, and they woke up in a pod. They get up, they're like, okay, that life I was just in, that was fake. I have no attachment to it. They start trying to get up and move, and these beings come and like force them back into the pod and put them back under, like anesthetize them or whatever, and they wake up here again. And it's like, yeah, what's that?
I think
that's when you
there's.
need to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to go kicking and screaming if I have to. I think that's partially. Then you get into the concept of the NPCs, and if some have left already and they're in the new Earth, and so that's why it seems like so many people are unconscious. What if the people in the pods are just simply from here? I've asked to see if I'm in a pod. I've asked to see my pod. I've asked the questions, but nothing comes of it. So that tells me I'm probably not in a pod. That I'm probably more. I talked to Jared about this before, and I think Carrie may know about my. I did a soul rescue session with somebody, and she said, "Well, your soul was on a ship housing 10,000s of these matrix pods," and I was like, "Well, where's my pod? Like, am I in a pod?" And there was no clarity there, and that tells me that that's something that may very well be how they copy us and create different versions of us and are linking them to us, when we leave, those pods go away. Like those would automatically default to zero energy, if you will. So I don't have, I don't claim to know all the answers of that kind of thing, but that would probably be a very good question for Anne Marie, because that's more along the lines of what she's able to uncover. I hope that answers your question, Jared.
Yeah. I just was wondering because I find it interesting, the pod thing, Matrix and stuff. But
Yeah,
I
sure.
found multiple different videos on the BitChute website of, I guess, hypnotic regressions from hypnotherapists, and some of Anne Marie's videos were copied there and stuff. But some people have been regressed and did find themselves in pods as well. But it seems very complicated, this tesseract, light body, pod, and then virtuals, as you say, multiple
Mhm.
level. It's like people. Now I've had all these so-called, thousands of so-called lucid dreams and astral projections over the past 20 years, and it's like, with all this information getting revealed that we're talking about, that you showed me, that you were drawing on the whiteboard earlier, like uh all of the astrals and etheric stuff, it's just illusory. You don't really get anywhere. It's just like another virtual. You're still in the matrix.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
definitely. It's just a different level. New level, new devil. That's all it is.
Ooh, yep. There, and we can get into this at a different point, but Carrie, you do a real good job of basically saying there are hierarchies and lords of every level. So like one might be Yaldabaoth, one might be Lucifer, one might be Inky and Enlil, one might be so and so and so and so. Every level has its own quote unquote god or boss, somebody that they report to.
All right, so let me ask you this then. I assume you'll say it's maybe possible, but you think, even if those other, the so-called astrals and etheric realms, whatever you want to say, these other timelines, whatever these things are, these are the virtuals, if they're still in the matrix, but if you could learn to do that at will, sit down for meditating for 10 or 15 minutes here, you switch your data stream, you go into these other places, wouldn't you theoretically be able to leave this body and then either find the pod that your light body's in and then exit? I mean, would your body just stop breathing? Would the heart just stops, the brain dies, and you're out? Or is there like fail safes in the matrix to not allow that to happen? Because supposedly masters have been able to just make their body go away
Just
and
disappear.
stop. Yeah, well, that, or just die when they lay down. They're like, it's my time, and then 20 minutes later they're done.
Well, see,
For
Lolita
thousands of
talks
years,
about that.
supposedly.
She's
I
talked
think
about
it's
like this meditation where she's I don't know if you want to call it degrading, but she's emptying her vessel. Like she goes like limb by limb. It's a special type of meditation that she talks about where you're basically removing yourself from the body. Like you are literally leaving the body. But another thought I had was, okay, well, if we're leaving the body, that means we would be going to like an astral, or we would be going up or out. When I see it as an inward thing rather than out. So, what they say in the Bible, like the kingdom of heaven is not out there, it is within. I feel like that heart portal is what they're seeking. And that is the way out, which is going back to yourself, your true essence.
Yeah, the golden ring, like you were saying. It's the golden ring. So don't go outward, but shift inward into your innermost being. Like Anne Marie was saying, she was talking about how all these people talk about, once you leave your body the last time, don't like, don't talk to anybody. Don't try to turn around and go the other way. Just go into your truest self to exit. Right. Yeah. All right. Makes sense.
All right, guys, you want to call this one for the evening? I know, Carrie, you said you had a low battery. But this has been a good one, a really good one. And we could do another one if y'all are up for it tomorrow at 2. I'm going to go ahead and stop 2 p.m. Central. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.
Cool.